Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Glowy Glowy Man Night podcast. My name is Kyle Quinn, and joining me today is Brushy. Welcome back to the show, Brush.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Carl.
I wish we were talking under better circumstances, but it's Groundhog Day. Manchester United once again creating several chances in the first 30 minutes of a game, 4 or 5 on this occasion, and not scoring, hitting both posts, um, and then conceding at the other end, and then proceeding to go to pieces in the second half, running out of energy, it seems. Once again, as we've played 67 games this season, an absolute shocker from David De Gea has increased the scrutiny on him. But I have to say he wasn't the only poor performer yesterday. It was a shocking performance all round, particularly in the second half. So United, you losing away again. Our away record is now equal to Everton's, who are 19th in the table currently. It's massive difference between United's home form and away form. I mean, the only saving grace in terms of the last 4 games is that 3 of them are at home. Liverpool are now on our coattails, only 1 point behind us, even though we have a game in hand. But we, if we win those 3 home games, then we're into the Champions League. But I mean, we've only scored 3 goals in the last 6 matches, so that is by no means guaranteed. So, what was your thoughts on yesterday's performance yesterday, Rush?
Yeah, listen, pretty much all of what you just summarized, Carl. Woke up this morning as well. Usually, in retrospect, you feel a little bit better, or you try and take some kind of positives away from it. But yeah, very much the day after the night before. Just woke up a bit depressed, and same again, like against Brighton, just lackluster. No clinical edge yesterday. We ran out of ideas. Uh, you know, West Ham got men behind the ball. There was six, seven, eight claret and blue shirts inside their box, and we had no answers. Obviously, it was an error that led to the goal, but we never looked like scoring really. So again against Brighton as well, it was the short error, but there was about four chances we had where we could have put the ball in the back of the net and we didn't, and you're going to get punished.
Yeah, I think Luke Shaw even talked about it in his post-match interview after the Brighton game. Is that basically what he was saying was the attackers are not taking the pressure off the defense. They're constantly under pressure to keep clean sheets and not
Yeah.
make any mistakes because the forwards are not scoring any goals. It's pretty abysmal. I mean, Rashford has 16 Premier League goals. The next United player is Bruno Fernandes on 6. That's nowhere near good enough for a club of our ambitions, is it?
No, absolutely not. And even with Marcus Rashford, he's not really looked the same since coming back from injury. I felt like perhaps we rushed him back from injury because we are so devout of options. And yeah, coming from last season to this as well, anything we got out of him would have been a bonus. And he's already exceeded expectations. But we've seen things in his game that's always been in his game. So don't let the goals fool you. Like he still has some of the same flaws as before. So we shouldn't like expect more from Marcus, if that makes sense. But collectively, everyone has to take blame. Um, I thought it was abysmal throughout. So from the manager to the players, we win and lose as a team. And a lot of them, none of them can hold their heads up high after yesterday.
Okay, let's talk about some individuals, and we have to start with the goalkeeper.
Mm.
Um, David De Gea. I was surprised by the stats that I've been reading this morning. Only 2 goalkeepers, Gavin Bazunu and Alex McCarthy, both at Southampton. Only them two have a worse save percentage in the Premier League this season than David De Gea, who has saved only 68% of the shots at him. Um, and yet, David De Gea is in pole position to win the Golden Glove award. I mean, it just those are such contrasting statistics,
Hmm.
and shows you what an enigma David De Gea is. But obviously the clean sheets thing where he has 15 clean sheets. That's obviously a lot of that is not just down to him. It's down to Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka,
Yeah, it's the
Casemiro.
collective, isn't it? Yeah, it's the collective.
But
And I think I
we
read today as well, Carl. I think In terms of individual goalkeeping errors leading to goals, he's tied with Hugo Lloris on 4, which is the
Uh,
most.
that is not great company to be in, given the form
No,
of Hugo Lloris.
yeah,
Um, now the concern is for me is that United and Ten Hag still seem determined to renew his contract, or
mm,
albeit on a reduced salary. But he's on his what he's producing at the moment. He's not even worth a quarter of his current salary, and he's never going to accept a quarter of that salary, 370k a week. Um, he's just well off it at the moment. Um, is there a case to be made to release him in the summer and get a keeper that fits Ten Hag's style of play more? Um, because I just don't. I just don't see him improving. Like we've talked about it many times, he's a
yep.
keeper from like a bygone era. Um, he doesn't. His distribution is woeful. I mean, his first two touches in each half yesterday, he gave the ball away. Um, he doesn't command his area either. Um, and his shot stopping is starting to let him down a wee bit. After 12 years, do you think the time is now to maybe look at bringing somebody else in?
It could well be. I mean, we've discussed the hair before this season, and my thing has always been, you know what, it comes down to like what kind of budget we have to work with. And when we're looking at all the positions and all the things that we need, I felt at the time that De Gea you can leave for a little bit longer and then get to it eventually. But in recent weeks we're seeing more and more of the things that highlight the ineptitude. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if replacing him is higher up the pecking order now.
Yeah, it's also possible that he could remain at the club on a reduced salary and only be the number two goalkeeper. Um, according to reports, he would like to go back to Spain, but
Mm,
it's not feasible because the big teams in Spain, like Real, Atletico, and Barcelona, all have keepers that are, you know, solid number ones there that are not going to be moving anytime soon. So that makes it difficult for him. Um, but even on a reduced salary, it's going to be a massive salary for a number two goalkeeper, isn't it?
absolutely, and we've already been in this sort of situation before because with Dean Henderson, we gave him a contract of over 100,000 a week, and I thought that was utterly ridiculous. You can only play one goalkeeper at a time, and we had 500,000 in wages going to goalkeepers. It didn't make any sense.
It, obviously, Ten Hag can't do what Pep does or what Pep did in the past, where he got rid of Joe Hart immediately, and then after
Hmm.
replacing him with Claudio Bravo, uh, 1 year into that experiment, he brought in Ederson because Bravo wasn't good enough. But I
Mm.
mean, Manchester City just have an endless supply of cash. Like you already mentioned, United will have a budget. So if Ten Hag wants to have a situation next season where he's not relying on De Gea as the number one goalkeeper, he's going to have to get creative, whether that be tr- using Dean Henderson, Butland, or bringing in some unknown option from Europe, or a cheap deal, someone on a free transfer, someone that a goalkeeper that he rates or has worked with before, that he can get for a reasonable price. Because that, like you say, we're going to have to spend the bulk of our budget
Yeah, we're gonna have
further
to
up
be
the pitch.
very, very savvy in the market. Because obviously there's so many unknowns regarding the ownership. We don't know what's going to happen there. And I'm also hearing that whoever comes in this first window, we're going to be under somewhat of a restriction anyway. So yeah, we're not going to have like just endless pockets, regardless of who comes in.
No, certainly not. I think we're because our sales have been so poor. We're
Hmm.
now we've only got like 100 million to spend this summer before sales, until we run into FFP, restrictions. Um, so again, that places, the importance on successful sales this summer. But like we always talk about, it's going to be so difficult because of the wages that these players are on now. Ten Hag, I have to criticize Ten Hag for substitutions again yesterday. He baffled me in both the Brighton and the West Ham game. Brighton for taking so long to make a sub and then not
Mm,
even bringing on Ericsson at all.
hmm.
Yesterday, we were 1-0 down. Okay, he's brought. I didn't agree with Martial being the first substitution, but okay, I'll look past that. But he's got two subs left. We're still 1-0 down. He brings on Fred and Dallo, yet he has Garnacho there available. If Garnacho's not able to play 10, 15 minutes, what's he doing there? And why was Palestri left at home? That just totally baffled me. What about you?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I was surprised actually because I would have liked to have seen. I would have thought Garnacho would have offered more explosiveness than Sancho. So that's who I wanted to see. I thought, Garnacho coming back in because we know what he provides. He's an impact sub, in every sense of the word, and he terrorizes defenses and he
Yeah,
takes players on.
yeah, he offers something completely different to
Yeah.
what's on the pitch, and uh, Sancho is just not as direct as what Garnacho is. So it would have frightened the West Ham defense if Garnacho came on. I don't understand why he didn't use him, but bringing on Martial was never going to work for me. He's so out of form. I mean, he only has 9 goals in the last 3 seasons. And again, yesterday you could see why.
Hmm.
Um, he missed two chances in quick succession. One, okay, he shot to the near post under pressure from the defender diving in to make the block. He should have went, for me. He should have went to the far post and hit it low. But if you look past that, from the corner, Bruno Fernandez had a perfect corner. All he had to do was head it into the near post, and he didn't even get a proper connection on it. It was woeful,
I'll
wasn't it?
tell you what. Now that you mentioned corners, I'm getting really annoyed at the amount of short corners we're taking. Like,
Yeah,
why not just whip the ball into the box? Do the simple things right.
yeah. I think absolutely everybody is fed up to the back teeth of these short corners. Um,
Yeah, like it's absolutely no advantage to us at all. These corners, we're just wasting it.
yeah, there's times where players are coming up from the back for corners, and then no delivery ends up coming in, and
Yep.
then we're being counter attacked on, and those
No,
players are out of
no
position.
competent set piece takers either. I've not been happy with any of our free kick takers since one matter.
Yeah, I mean, we're having this, there can't be any other team in the league where the centre back is taking corners. Luke Shaw.
Hmm.
It's so ridiculous, isn't it? You think there'd be a winger or a midfielder who could take a
Yeah,
corner.
and then you take it short as well. So, and I'm just thinking like, oh, why? Why did the centre backs even bother running all the way up and getting into the box?
Yeah, that is extremely frustrating. It's something, and it's
Yeah.
been the case for a while now. When's the last time we scored directly from a free kick? It's
Oh.
just it must be a couple of years at least. It's really really poor. Um, Now De Gea has taken a lot of criticism for the goal, and rightfully
Mm.
so. But Luke Shaw missed his tackle. Lindelof was backing off and didn't get a block on the shot from what's the player? Banrama, wasn't it? Banrama.
Yeah, Ben Rama was the
Um,
one that scored. I mean,
Banrama.
listen, there was about three or four white shirts around him. Yeah, it was mental, isn't it? The fact that he could get the shot off and then absolute howler by Dave. There's no excuses for that.
He scuffed the effort, and somehow
Hmm.
it slipped through De Gea's fingers. From from what there's a analysis from BT at halftime, and it appeared to show that De Gea's standing leg actually slipped and he lost his footing, so
Mm.
that might have played a role in it. But still not acceptable for De Gea to let that go in. I mean, the shot was so tame that there was
Yeah.
groans from the West Ham crowd whenever he took the shot. They couldn't believe it went in. Um,
Yeah, I
but
don't think anyone could, to be fair. I mean, I know mistakes happen, so it's one of those things. Uh, Obviously, we're not helped at all by the fact that we don't know how to score. So that's added pressure onto the defense. But yeah, no, aside from the actual howler itself, like, with regards to the distribution, we saw time and time again yesterday, just giving away possession, keep kicking it long and giving away possession.
yep, um, he has to kick it long because that's all he can do. But yet there's nobody up there to hold the ball up or win flick-ons, so it
Yeah.
just keeps coming back at us.
Yeah,
And
so
then when
this
he,
is the thing, like, and this is where I think Ten Hag is a bit naive as well, because obviously he's quite stubborn and stuck in his ways. but there has to be some kind of compromise. Where we've seen it in the past, even with Ralph Ragnick. When he initially came in and tried his 4-2-2 thing before he finally realized we haven't got the players for it. Square peg round holes. Like, work with what you've got. Work to their strengths until a time in which you can change it up and implement what it is that you want to do. But you know, he's adamant to try and do things his way with players who can't do certain things. It just doesn't make sense to
Yeah, we're starting to see a few mistakes from Ten Hag as the season draws to a close.
me.
Um, and the players look absolutely spent. Now they're getting 2 days off, and their next game is until Saturday. I think it's their first free midweek since the Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, going into this the last week of the season as well. I mean, we've got that rescheduled Chelsea game, so we still go back to that Thursday Sunday thing to finish the season off.
Yeah, that's a nightmare to be honest. I mean, it was so bad yesterday that David Moyes was sympathetic towards us because we had to play Thursday on Sunday.
Mm,
So we're getting sympathy from David Moyes. It's not a great position to be in. But I suppose he understands it because of their Europa Conference League campaign. So he knows
yeah.
exactly what it's like. Um, but it was really, really poor all around. Once again, Casemiro was off it. I feel like I'm saying that a lot
Hmm.
recently.
Listen,
Actually, I
against Brighton, Kyle, he was very lucky to not see red.
oh definitely yeah. Um, I thought our best players on the day, arguably, were Wan-Bissaka and Veghorst. That's how bad it was.
Oh, jeez. About the listen, could Anthony hit the target? There was that ball that Weghorst sort of chested down to him. Aside from that, I don't really know what he was doing, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, he had an okay first half. Veghorst
yeah,
in that number 10 role, but once again he had an effort on goal that obviously didn't go in.
no,
He's just never going to score goals. He works hard and he can be good with his link up play when he plays number 10, but he's just not a goal threat. But what does that say about Martial that he started the game? Then that speaks
ah,
volumes to me.
yeah. And as bad as Martial was, I was just sat there at the end going, well, at least he's getting his shots on target, at least, which is still quite a depressing thing in itself. Like, we should have higher aims than that. Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
one of those.
we're in a situation at the moment where I don't know where our next goal is coming from. I mean,
Nope.
Anthony just can't seem to find the target. He's either hitting the post or he's hitting it wide of the post, like he done against Brighton. But it's very, very, very frustrating as a fan to watch United misfiring so much. Um, and I know it's probably tedious and boring to talk about it now, but we're desperate in need of a striker. And we're limping
And
along.
squad depth as well, Carl. I think that's imperative. That's why I think it's important that we move very savvy in the market, if at all possible, because we need to get in numbers. Because at our club, as you know, and as Ten Hag knows as well, and what he's tried to do, there are no compromises. There's no prioritizing one thing over the other. We have to go all out on all fronts, and sometimes naively, like this season. And he's shown that as well. He wants to win everything. Fair enough if you want to win everything, but you also need the squad in order to be able to deal with that. And currently, I don't think it's fit for purpose.
Yeah, because he's prioritized every cup competition,
Mm.
that's probably the primary reason why our gas tank is empty right now.
Yeah, yeah, we're absolutely running on empty now. Yeah, and that's the problem. And yeah, like you say, because we mentioned it like for months and months, with the fixture list and how we were concerned and how we were expecting rotation. But then time and time again, we would see a very settled team whenever possible. So the manager hasn't seen fit to rotate at times, and then sometimes when he has tried to rotate, we've seen that the game plan and then everything goes out the window of what he's trying to implement. So yeah, these are all big issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah, he doesn't have the players or enough of the
Hmm.
players to fit into his system at the moment, and when he has to bring back, you know, players from when you bring in players from the Solskjaer era into the starting 11, then we see a massive drop off, and players are just not capable of doing what he needs. Like Maguire being the obvious example,
Yeah.
and De Gea, obviously he
And
plays every
I'll
game.
tell you what, I'll tell you what, this is another example, right? So even with the injury crisis that we've got, we have a left back playing centre back, and he would rather start a left back who's not a natural centre back than an actual centre back who we've got on the bench. So that tells you how much he trusts Maguire.
Yeah, he has to move on. He
Hmm.
doesn't get a kick. When he did get an opportunity there, when with Varane and Martinez out, he blew it in Seville and had to be taken out of the team. And Shaw had to go to centre back. Right,
And he
I'm
wasn't the
more than
only one, but it just, as a collective, when it's Lindelof, Maguire, and De Gea, I just don't think they
yeah,
can work together. It's
yeah.
just,
It's the Bermuda Triangle, isn't it?
yeah,
Um,
that's exactly what it is.
it's like it's the back three from the previous era.
Hmm.
And we need to move on from that now. Now, Lindelof is one of those players that he gets a lot of praise when things go well, like when he scored the penalty or when he has a good game. But he always follows up a good game with a stinker. And yesterday he was very, very lucky not to give away a penalty. Don't know how that wasn't given. Um,
Yes, yes, that was a handball for me.
yeah. So I knew if we had a somehow snatched a draw out of that game, David Moyes was going to have a few words to say about that penalty call. Um,
And
but
rightfully so.
yeah, uh, Lindelof, you know, he's once again yesterday he's being bullied, um, and he was just too passive, um, and just not. He, I don't know. He's never going to be first choice. He shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
this is the thing, isn't it, Carl, with him? Like, because we know the pros and cons to Lindelof. So none of this surprises me. All I can say is obviously he's third choice, isn't he? Um,
yeah, and he's another thing about him. He's too nice. I think as well. I don't know
mhm.
if you noticed during the Brighton game, he was during a break in play, he was shaking hands with his Brighton opponent and were having a wee smile and joke. You know, that's too nice for me. I want to see a competitive edge to a player.
Do you know what that is? Do you know where that comes from? It's because we've grown up with the likes of Roy Keane,
Yeah,
who walk out there as if they're going to war.
yeah, yeah. Or like Anthony against Brighton. That sort of
Yeah,
bite is what I like to see.
yeah, yeah.
Although that was borderline stupidity.
That was very stupid. He's another one. He could have easily got sent off that game. We could have
It
been
has
two men down.
it has to be like Leach. It has to be controlled aggression. You
Yes,
can't be
yes.
losing your head like
And I'll
that.
tell you what, out of all the players that could have gotten injured, what a miss he is.
Yeah, that's what I want to get onto as well. Not only is he a miss defensively,
Mm,
but his line breaking passes are a massive
yes.
miss for us.
And
Our
his mentality and attitude as well. You see how whenever he's there as well, they're always high fiving each other when they make a block. They all work better as a unit. I see leadership qualities in him.
Yeah, he's definitely a future Manchester United captain if he remains at the club for 10 years. At some point, he's going to
Yeah.
be captain. Um, yeah, he's a massive miss in terms of defending and going forward.
Hmm.
Our build up play now is so slow and lethargic. All West Ham did yesterday was get numbers behind the ball and play on the counter, and we just couldn't get behind them. It was too.
We just did not have any ideas. We were very lackluster, and they didn't really have to, put that much effort into it. All they had to do was just put men behind the ball, and just cut out the space. And I'll tell you one player that I did impress me yesterday. Declan Rice he was running rings around our midfield.
Yeah, he was rightfully given man of the match
Yeah, yeah,
by
we,
BT.
yeah. I mean, he is a very good player, but we made him look like a prime Iniesta yesterday. It was crazy.
Yeah, he was dancing around Casemiro, and that kind
Yeah.
of highlights what a drop off Casemiro's had since he came back from his 4 game
Hmm.
suspension.
And
Like we've,
on the subject of Casemiro as well, I wonder if he plays with a little bit of fear because he knows that with his game in this league, like he's very likely to get carded now. So he plays like a player who's frightened of getting booked.
And he could have been sent off again against Brighton.
Yes.
Um, I I want to bring this up now. He's apparently Thomas Tuchel is a fan, and Bayern Munich are interested in Casemiro. Now, given the situation where, like you said, he has PTSD from the red
Hmm.
cards and he's afraid to make a tackle, do you think if there's one more red card, they get pissed off with playing in England and take the opportunity to go to Bayern? I don't personally see it, but some people do.
Uh,
Would you?
I seeing what we've invested in him, I can't see them giving up on it just yet. But for me, like that, yeah, we have to analyze everything, don't we? If we get a good enough offer, because he's 31 now, if you get a good enough offer and you can claw your money back, then yeah, I would look at that and look to reinvest it, maybe in someone like Moses Salcido, who should already be at our club if it wasn't for the incompetence of the previous regime, who let him slip when he was available for about 4.5 million. Because he's only 21 and listen, he's been putting himself on the shop window this season. I think whoever gets him, it's like winning the lottery. He's a transformative player.
Yeah, he is an excellent midfielder. And so was Declan Rice, by the
And
way.
so is Ricey. And I'll tell you what, after the performance as well, I had a little dig into his contract situation. And his current contract is up next summer. So if this summer he makes it known to West Ham that, he's 24 now, going on 25. If he makes it known to them that he doesn't want to extend, surely there's an opportunity there.
Well, the team that's apparently in pole position to sign Rice this summer is Arsenal.
Hmm.
Um, because we have Casemiro, that's probably why we won't go for a player like that this
Yeah,
summer. But like you said, that's a good point. There's no way we're going to sell Casemiro unless we get our money back.
yeah,
Um, I think we just need to get to the end of the season, and then hopefully Casemiro psychologically can move on from those red cards and
yeah.
suspensions that he was getting in quick succession. Um, but he just doesn't look fit to me either. The way he doesn't seem to have the same energy as what he has had in the first half of the season. Um, but I mean, he's not played as many games as others because of the suspensions.
Because
And
of the suspensions. Yeah.
if you remember at the start, he didn't start for about 4 to 6 weeks or so.
Hmm.
McTominay was still playing those games, even in the derby where we lost 6-3. Even back then, Casemiro wasn't starting yet. So he shouldn't be in a situation where he's low on energy and is burnt out. But that's the way it looks. Um, even Ericsson is not doing it at the moment either. There's nobody in good form. I mean, I think Rashford now only has 5 goals in his last 16 games.
Yeah.
So we really are struggling now. Now the problem is Liverpool are 1 point off us, but it's still in our hands. If we win our home games, we're into the top four. Do you believe that United can do that?
I mean, whilst it remains in our hands, you have to keep the faith. But yeah, they've absolutely made a hash of it unnecessarily, if you ask me. Excuse me. Yeah, this is absolutely a mess of our own making, but we can dig ourselves out of it. But they all need to wake the hell up. They all need a hairdryer treatment. Probably the manager too. I'll tell you what I'd like. I'd like Fergie to come down and just give them all a bollocking.
Well, it's good that we have a 6 day rest now. That's something we haven't had for a long time. So we
Yeah,
don't.
for a very long time. I'll tell you what though. I don't want it to be all negative. The one positive thing I did like from this previous week is the unveiling of the statue of Jimmy Murphy. Thought that was nice.
Yeah, I mean that's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, 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 and especially in a time like this as well, it has to mean something because obviously, especially for any younger fans out there, I implore them to go and research who that is and what he done for the club. And in the middle of the ongoing situation regarding the owners, whoever comes in, there's a lot that can be learned from that man and what this club's all about and how we go about building for the future. So, some sacrifices may have to be made, some tough decisions, um, and we need to start developing talent and investing in the youth.
Yeah, 100%. I'll get on to a wee bit more of that later, but for now, I'm just going to do the player rating, so it's going to be quite
Oh,
low
jeez.
this week.
This should be interesting.
Strap yourselves in, everyone. This is going to be get ugly. Um, De Gea, I'm afraid it has to be a naught out of 10. So this is going to be bad. Um, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, probably your best player on the day, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Um, 6 for Wan-Bissaka. Lindelof would be a 4. Luke Shaw 5. Malacia a 4. Casemiro 4. Ericsson 4. Faghurst 5. Anthony a 3. Bruno Fernandes on the left. Nah, I hate seeing that. Reminds me
Mm,
of the 7-0. And
hmm.
it doesn't, it never works. And
Ever.
we, so a 3 for Bruno Fernandes, Rashford a 4. He was lively in parts, but didn't manage to score a goal. But he has his moments in games.
Hmm.
Even though he's not quite on the form that he was, he still shows that directness, that drive to take people on. But he's not getting the goals that he was. So Marcus Rashford, a 5 for him then. Um, and in terms of substitutes, Anthony Martial, yeah, he would get a 3 for me. No real impact from him, and missed 2 chances. Um, Sabitzer, Sancho, and Fred did come on quite late, so it's hard to give them a rating.
Yeah.
And Ten Hag for his selections and substitutions yesterday, would probably be a 2 for me. Um,
Hmm.
So quite low ratings there, and these are becoming more and more frequent as the season draws to a close. Um, but I'm hoping now the rest will give us an opportunity to recharge the batteries. Now we've got 3 games at home. Our home form is Fortress Old Trafford, and just as well. I think we've conceded out of all the goals we've conceded in the Premier League, 85% of those have been away from home,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
It's because we've just been absolutely destroyed away from home in certain games. Um, I think what just in 3 away games at Man City, Liverpool, and Brentford, totaling that, I think we conceded 17 in just those three.
that's
You you add Aston Villa and Arsenal away into that mix, it becomes 23 goals in 5 games. See, statistics like that is just not acceptable on any level.
yeah, it's inexcusable.
Yeah.
And it shows you what a different team we are at home. That
Hmm.
if you even take the Aston Villa into isolation, away from home we were dreadful. I know it was Emery's first game, and we lost 3-1. We play them at home. I was thinking this is going to be a tough game, and
Yeah.
this could go either way. And we win the game. We keep a clean sheet. We win 1-0. If that game was played at Villa Park, there's no way we win that game 1-0.
Hmm.
So we just seem to be a different team
And
at
it's
home.
very strange, isn't it? Because obviously under Ollie, the away stuff was brilliant. It was at Old Trafford where we struggled. And then in this season, we've also seen it where for half the season we were second half FC, and then they sorted it out and they started off well, and but then they would capitulate in the second half. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's the total opposite now, isn't it?
Yeah.
The problem is in most games we're not taking our chances
Nope.
in the first half. Now at Spurs we did score 2 goals, but we should have scored about 4 or 5 when we were on top, and then we
Hmm.
ended up chucking that one away as well in the second half. Yeah, we just seem to be run
In
totally.
that one, in the end, we were lucky we didn't even lose. Thank goodness that one chance fell to Eric Dyer and not anyone else. Had that been Son or Kane, that's a goal all day. Nobody picked him up, and it was terrible defending when you think about it. And he had an wide open net to aim for.
Yeah, that was a game that looked like we were in cruise control, and somehow
Yep.
we chucked it away. And we're just Liverpool just keep getting the 3 points in every game now.
Hmm.
Um,
And we've seen them do this. Like was it 2 years ago? That season where they steamrolled to fourth to clinch fourth when it looked unlikely. When Allison scored that header and all of that, they've got the mentality for this. They've put in a. I think this is the best run they've gone on. And looking at their fixture list as well, all of the games they have coming up, they're more than capable of winning.
They are, yeah, but they've got Villa, don't they? That could be a tricky enough game for them. We, I prefer Liverpool to drop the points somewhere just to, take the pressure off us a wee bit, make me feel a bit more comfortable.
It would
Um,
be nice, but yeah, I just need us to do our job basically. I'm just going to run on the assumption that they pick up maximum points. If anything, that puts the pressure on us, and I hope the message is clear to our lads.
yeah, we can even afford to lose another away game at Bournemouth as long as we win our games at Old Trafford that are remaining. But I was just thinking earlier on that after what happened to Fulham in the FA Cup at Old Trafford,
Yeah.
would they'd love the revenge of
Oh, and I think Mitrovic should be back by then as well.
he will be they'd love the revenge in the last game of the season,
Yep.
knocking us out of the Champions League spots, and Liverpool benefiting.
Yep. And then with our, and also we've got this horrible habit of making everyone else look good, like especially after that Tottenham result, uh, considering the shoddy form they were in. So I'm not looking forward to facing Chelsea either, you know.
Yeah, wouldn't you just know it? Just as we were about to play Chelsea, they pick up 3 points away from home and score 3 goals.
Yeah, yeah.
Which,
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It will be typical of us if we make them look good.
yeah, I don't trust United against any opponent to be at the
Mm.
moment now.
Hmm.
Earlier in the season, maybe, but not now. The drop off has been huge from United, and the performances are just rank now. To be honest with you, and
Yeah,
it's all about just stumbling over the line. Um, I just want to talk about something that's not United related, but a massive shock in the Premier League. Is
hmm.
that Everton are currently winning 3-0 away to Brighton? Would you believe that?
Wow, madness, absolute madness. What a league this is, eh? You can't predict anything, can you?
Yeah, that's just crazy, isn't it?
uh,
Um, so Everton can score 3 goals at Brighton, and we can't. We can't even
yeah,
score one. You know
yeah, it's
that
crazy.
frustrating that is. But helps us as well because we don't want Brighton creeping up on us either. And if they won all their games, then they would have a shout. But doesn't look like they're going to win today now, unless it's a miraculous comeback. Um, the championship today, the finale of the championship was hugely entertaining as well, and from a United point of view, what a goal that was from Ahmed
For
Diallo against
Amad
Preston.
Diallo, yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what, I don't know what we're gonna do with him next season because if judging by the lack of minutes that Pelestri's seen, I worry for Ahmad if he comes back to us.
Mm, yeah, I just want to talk about both those players. So Diallo has 13 goals and 4 assists for Sunderland. Um, has spoken about how it's his dream to play for Manchester United. Fabrizio has just reported that he understands that Ahmad only dreams of Man United chance. He loves the club and he hopes to have an opportunity with the first team next season. Now, obviously, Anthony plays in his position. Anthony
Mm,
is the manager's, you know, marquee signing from last summer and rarely gets dropped. So Diallo would be looking at being the backup for Anthony. Um, I just want to see him get chances because, like you say,
yeah,
Pellistri is getting no chances at the moment. He
none.
gets the odd token appearance, like away at Betis when the tie's done.
Hmm.
Um, but that was really, really harsh yesterday. That when Garnacho was available again, who gets left out of the squad? Pellistri. That was terrible. I didn't like that very much. And he, given that he's getting so few chances by Ten Hag, he is going to have to go on loan next season again. Because and Ahmad, like you mentioned, I hope he doesn't fall into the same situation next season if he comes back
Yeah,
to the
that's the
club.
thing because he's had a very, very productive season, and obviously it is a step up for the Premier League. So if we're not going to use him and give him enough minutes, the ideal situation would perhaps be a loan to a Premier League side, maybe in the lower half of the table, just somewhere where he can get first in football to aid his development to that next step.
Yeah, because I'd love to see him get a chance at United next season, but the problem is one of the manager's favourites plays in his
Yeah,
position. And
yeah, yeah. It's
that
a
worries
player
me.
that yeah, because Anthony is Ten Hag's guy. Insisted on him. We paid over the odds for him. There's no way he's gonna be out of the team, basically. So
But
already it's an uphill battle, isn't it?
yeah, Anthony is not doing it at the moment, and
Mm.
you know his position needs to be under threat. He shouldn't be guaranteed a place in the team every single week. Um, so I wouldn't mind, Diallo providing the competition for him, but there has to be a genuine chance of Diallo actually starting games.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. This is what concerns me because even when Anthony's been out of form, like we've not seen Pelestri.
Despite not playing any minutes yesterday, one young player that Ten Hag does value highly is Garnacho. Did you see the speech that Ten Hag gave to the Garnacho family as he was standing beside Garnacho? That was very nice of him.
Yeah,
He told his family how much he believes in him and what a future he has at the club. He just signed a 5-year deal, obviously.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Ten Hag is a massive fan of Garnacho. So what I want to see in the last 4 games of the season is more what we saw from Garnacho before he got injured. Either starting games and having an impact, or coming off the bench and making a difference. Because as long as if we're not, as long as we're still in the game in the cup final and don't get absolutely tanked, which is a possibility, obviously,
mm,
Garnacho could be a huge asset for us in the final, because he was already against Manchester City. He came off the bench and provided the assist for Rashford at Old Trafford when we won the game.
yep,
So it gives us an extra option there if a player like him is available. Kyle Walker will not look forward to playing against him. So if him and Varane are available, then it increases our chances ever so slightly. Varane could well actually feature against Wolves, so that's a welcome surprise, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, most definitely. It's important that he gets some minutes in the lead up to the cup final. If it was a situation where he had just recovered in time for the cup final, I'm not sure I would risk it. So yeah, it's good that he's back earlier than expected, and hopefully can get up to match fitness.
Yeah, we don't want a situation where Harry Kane played the Champions League final with no minutes under his belt for 6 weeks. Varane, I thought that at the very earliest he was going to come back against Fulham, but looks like he's going to be back, against Wolves. So that's a huge plus. So there's an opportunity there for him to get lots of minutes under his belt before the final. So if Varane and Lindelof are both available for the final, would you select both of them and play Shaw at left back, or would you still play Shaw at centre back?
See, this it's a very interesting one because obviously at Old Trafford when we beat them, Shaw was playing, and I thought he did a good job that day. Um, at the same time, I do like what Shaw offers me as a left back going forward and everything else. Malacia is still very raw. And I know he's actually what 24. Like you'd think he was a bit younger, but he's about 24. So from what I've seen of Malacia, like he's no more than a rotation option at this stage.
Yeah, and tell you what, I'm not a huge fan of Diogo Dallo either on the right or left side.
Hmm.
He can make some very very basic errors. And not, as a defender, he's nowhere near the level of Wan-Bissaka. So playing him at left back in the cup final would be a scary prospect as well. See,
Yeah,
as good as Shaw is at centre back, whenever you're missing him at left back, there's going to be a deputy there that's nowhere near his level.
yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
And when you're playing Manchester City on current form,
Hmm.
you don't want to have, a makeshift left back, or a rotational left back, um, because they'll target that, and it could get us into trouble. So it's an interesting one. If Varane, Lindelof, and Shaw are all available for the cup final, um, he may well decide to use Shaw as a left back, but maybe not, because he likes to have a left-footed centre back, doesn't he? So
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and obviously, we've got the evidence that against City as well, it's worked in the past. So
it has. Eddie's football waffle joins us. Um, Good to have you here. Um, Yeah, so uh, it's not. But we're still favourites, I think, for top four, but it's by no means guaranteed. And the cup final for me, anything other than a defeat is bonus. Because that's fully what I'm expecting here. I would give United about a 10% chance on current form of winning this final. That's another thing. If we can go into the final with form and goals under our belt, we win these three home games, and hopefully win the away game against Bournemouth as well. Then that's good. We're on a high going into the match. But if we've like missed out on the top four, I think we could get absolutely tanked in the final because our confidence will be
Listen,
so low.
if we turn up like we did in the last two games, then we might as
In
well not
trouble.
turn up.
Yeah, we're in massive trouble. There's so many United fans are going to be spending money on tickets and hotels and transport here, and they could be going to watch the most one-sided cup final since the last time
Probably,
Man City played in the cup
yeah,
final.
well, yeah. I think the one that what they had against Watford, yeah, it could be similar to that.
6-0, I think that was. Yeah,
Hmm.
and that you know, given how bad we've been in certain away games this season, that is not beyond the realms of
It's not,
possibility.
is it? Yeah, because yeah, we've shipped in so many goals.
I think it's absolutely imperative that we score first in the cup final. If we were to concede early, I could see the floodgates opening then, to be honest with you.
Most
So
definitely. I'll tell you what, like after the recent results, though, I can't even think about the cup final.
I know.
I just, it's just one game at a
And
time now, isn't it? Really?
do you know what? If we've won the League Cup. If we qualify for the top four, that's a good season. No matter what happens in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Um, anything after that is a bonus. But obviously we really want to win it, and we
Oh,
want to stop.
absolutely. When you get to a final, you can't help but win it, can you? So
And
it's
then if City overcome Real Madrid, they could
mm.
be this could be the second part of their treble, so it makes it even more important as well. Um,
Well, at least we have a say in it because it's in very much in our hands.
yeah, like I said before, in recent seasons we're relying on rivals to beat rivals, to stop other
Yeah.
rivals from winning trophies. But now we can actually, it's actually in our own hands, and to stop one of our rivals winning the treble because.
Yeah. On the subject of that, actually, I was talking to one or two of the guys yesterday, and I was saying like, how depressing is it that come the business end of the season, after year, we're just looking around at other teams, trying to work out which is the lesser of the two evils. Like
Mhm.
I'm sick and tired of it. Like we should be in these conversations, and the only way to sort that out is, for the club to get their act together.
Yeah, there's been so much turmoil at Manchester United under Ed Woodward, and Ed Woodward's stink is going to linger because of these big fat contracts that the Deadwood is still on,
Yeah.
so they're going to be
So
hard to
yeah,
shift.
that's the main thing for me. That's even if we have to take a slight step backwards in order to move forwards for the betterment of everything, and that's why the unveiling of that statue, it's quite symbolic as well of what we need to do.
Yeah, and here's another thing that's very important is the ownership situation, which is still not resolved.
Hmm.
We keep hearing different stories almost on a daily basis now, but still has not come to conclusion. That needs to come to conclusion very soon because other clubs are already getting deals done in the transfer market.
Yep.
Like Alexis McAllister is going to end up going to Anfield, even though Ten Hag is interested in him, because Ten Hag doesn't know who's going to be signing the checks at the moment. So we're being left behind.
Exactly. Listen, Brighton have signed João Pedro. Like the deal's done. So there's no excuses. There's no excuses. Uh, you don't wait till the window opens to start inquiring. You make your shortlists now. You act now.
Yeah, but we can't do that because we don't know whether the current owners are going to be here in
Yeah, but
June
this
or
is the
not.
thing, though, Carl. So surely for this summer at least, you run on the assumption that the Glazers end up staying. You know, and surely they have a plan or whatever shortlist they've had. You're just gonna have to follow that and that budget, I guess, and be a bit conservative and a bit savvy in the market. but the work for that still starts now.
But we were talking about the Glazer family here. If their priority is to sell the club, they're not interested in spending money in the summer transfer
That
window.
that's been evident from this whole sale process that they're not interested in us, not one bit, because it's in stark contrast to when Roman was forced to sell, because he specified that he would only entertain offers from people who are willing to invest in the club, whereas these lot don't care about the money coming into our club after they've gone. They just care about the bottom line on the sale.
Yeah, the only objective here is to bleed as much money out of Sheikh Jazim or Ineos as much as they possibly can.
Pretty much, it's absolute circus. The fact that he even went to a third round is a circus, honestly.
I know it's unheard of, unprecedented.
Hmm.
A third round of bidding. He's so greedy, it's unbelievable. Um, and according to Bloomberg, the club is only worth $1.8 million,
Yeah,
and they're looking £6 million. It's absolutely absurd. Um, and probably would want more than that if possible. But I think the bids are close to 5.5 now, and which is probably still
yeah.
not enough for them. But and then it's the complication of four siblings want to sell the shares, and two siblings want to
Two
stay. And
siblings want to stay. Yeah, all
mhm.
of that nonsense. Yeah, and that's going to be trouble as well, because if they opt for the one that allows the two of them to stay on, then that's going to become an issue later down the line.
Yeah, according to the latest reports on that, is that if Ineos buy a 51% stake,
Hmm.
um, they they will there'll be a 3-year plan to buy out the Glazers,
Yeah,
so they won't be sticking around for too long. But any amount of time is too long for the supporters because the supporters are mostly involved in the club and they
yeah.
can't stand the Glazers. So even them being there as an irrelevant shareholder, it still
Mm.
will irk the supporters, won't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is as well, like if it is one of those kind of deals where Ineos were to come in and they would buy either 51 or 69% of the shares or whatever, that then values the remaining shares at a higher price because of what you sold for, if that makes sense. So then for me, I see them digging their heels in and being real difficult to buy out eventually.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all because that's the mentality of these people. Um, they obviously have some kind of plan in mind.
Yeah.
Joel and Avram. They're obviously they don't want to stay as minority shareholders because they love the football club and they're entertained by the football. There's obviously some kind of
Mm-hmm.
financial reason as to why they want to remain.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's because they see an opportunity. This is the golden goose as far as they're concerned, and they don't want to let it go.
Absolute leeches. Like, we seen before the Aston Villa game, probably the biggest march yet from the city centre
Hmm.
to Old Trafford. While that is massively commendable, and I would love to be there myself,
Mm.
the Glazers don't give a shit about that. They don't.
I mean, you'd have
And
to
that's
be there to give a shit. A lot of the time they're in Florida, aren't they? So
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know who's in what owners are a complete stark contrast to the Glazers? Is the
mm,
owners of Wrexham, Rand Reynolds and Rob McIlerney. They go to most of the games. They drink pints with the supporters. They get emotionally invested in the games. Then they are just the exact opposite, aren't they, of the Glazer family?
yeah, yeah, they're people who obviously, I mean, we know them, for being the Hollywood superstars that they are. But yeah, you can you can see the excitement when they speak about the club, when they do interviews. They've got a series actually. I haven't got into it yet, but they've made a documentary series. Yeah, they're doing all the right things over there.
And we're going to be playing them in a pre-season friendly in America, I
Yes,
believe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're sponsored by TikTok, so already they're making moves. I thought it was really hilarious the tweet they sent out to Gareth Bale to try and convince him to come out of retirement over a game of golf.
And they've already convinced Ben Foster to come out of retirement, so
Yeah, yeah.
anything's possible. Um, yeah, it's you've got to be happy for the local fans there at Wrexham, which isn't that far from Manchester, really. Um, there's probably a lot of people who support Wrexham and Manchester United. Actually,
Mm,
definitely the Savage family do. You know, Charlie and Robbie and the rest of the family, they're from Wrexham, I think, and they support Manchester United.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, they're promoted into League Two now, and given the publicity that they have and the sponsorship and the famous owners, the world's their oyster now. They could well find themselves, rising up through the divisions.
It's very difficult to rise up that pyramid, though. I'm not going to lie. It'll be very interesting to keep an eye on as a
But
neutral, just to see how they continue to grow in terms of investment and all the rest of it.
yeah, Salford City have found it very difficult.
Yeah, yeah, because in the lower divisions, obviously the competition is stiff. There's way more teams as well per league. So yeah,
But
it's a long road.
there is a club who were quite recently in League Two and now found themselves in the Championship playoffs and could well be in the Premier League next season. Coventry City, and the same manager has been there throughout that process. So fair play to them.
Yeah,
Um,
it's incredible stuff, isn't it? And we haven't seen Coventry in the Prem, I don't think, since what, the 90s
yeah, I think it was the year 2000 they went
or
down. So yeah,
2000.
quite
Yeah, yeah.
quite a long time ago. Um, I mean that's back when I was a child when they won the Premier League. So that would be very nostalgic if they came back.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I remember when Robbie Keane was there.
yeah, that was his first club, wasn't it, in England? It's a very long time ago.
I can't remember. I was either Coventry or Wolves because he travelled around a lot, Robbie Keane. But it was one of
He,
them.
yeah, he's at Wolves as well, isn't he? Yeah, he's been at so many clubs. It can
Yeah.
you can forget at times. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it'd be good to see them back. But no matter who wins the playoffs in the championship, I'll be happy for them. Obviously, Coventry, like we just mentioned, Middlesbrough because of Michael Carrick,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, he's doing a
Luton,
good job there, you know.
yeah, him and McKenna both been superb as
Hmm.
managers so far. Luton Town, imagine them being in the Premier League. That would
Have
be,
you seen their stadium?
yeah, yeah.
That in the Premier League
No,
would be quite something.
it's not fit for purpose. No.
Yeah, because listen, as you walk up the stage, you're peering over people's backyards as you walk into the stadium.
Yeah, does it even meet the requirements of the, the
Yeah,
Premier
I'm not
League?
sure. Like, yeah, because obviously with the record attendance and whatnot, like, yeah, there's got to be some health and safety issues.
And of course, Sunderland with Ahmed Diallo being there,
Hmm.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him do well. And Sunderland are a massive club, and you wouldn't begrudge
Yeah.
them a place in the Premier League. But
Listen, if they come up, that's the ideal situation is that he stays on there for another year.
but that's what we thought was going to happen with Jimmy Garner, and that didn't materialize.
No, no. And that was a hot mess as well, wasn't it? Yeah. Maybe he insisted on wanting to leave. I thought it was all a bit too soon. And then he picked up a horrible injury, I think, and we've not really seen him either at Everton.
No, we haven't. He started very few games, so his career's kind of stalled.
And
Met,
also, you know, with the change of management as well, that's always a big issue because different managers have different ideas. Um, so yeah, it's very easy to get left behind.
well, I think he's got more minutes under the new manager than he did under the previous
Mm.
one. So Um, he started a game just last week, and that's the first time I've seen him start. And I can't remember any other starts for Everton, to be honest with you. Um, did he start today? They're still 3-0 up. At Brighton, by the way. Let's have a look and see is he playing that game.
Is he in the starting lineup?
He is. He is. Yeah.
He is. Well, hey, okay.
And they're doing really well, yeah. So maybe that was the key for Everton to finally win some games in the Premier League. Put Jimmy Garner into the team.
I'll tell you
uh,
what, I thought we sold on the cheap, you know, because obviously, you know, English tax and all of that that everyone keeps telling us about. Apparently, it doesn't apply to United when we're selling.
yeah, that was a giveaway, wasn't it? 8 million or something.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it was 15 in total, but like nine up front and the rest in add-ons, and it's probably stupid add-ons that will take ages to fulfill.
I mean, Liverpool's director of football would have got 25 million for Jimmy Garner, wouldn't he?
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah, we're just the worst at selling players,
Yeah,
and
definitely, definitely. Like
buying
Joe
players as
Willock
well.
went to Newcastle for about 25 million. I just, I just don't understand.
Yeah, hopefully we can get money for the likes of Maguire and Fred and
Yeah.
Martial this summer.
Funny enough, I wouldn't have even minded keeping Gardner because I thought, that would be a great understudy to Casemiro.
Yeah, yeah, but
Just
who
to
knows?
have
Maybe his
someone
United
who,
career isn't over.
just to have someone who is a DM would have been great, as a backup. Because that's the concern with Cass. Because even if he's out of form or if he's injured or if he's banned through bookings, we just haven't got anyone that can come in that does anything remotely close to what he does.
Yeah, that is a major issue. Something that we need to address in the summer if we possibly can.
Yeah,
Um, if we could even, there's players available for free this summer.
there are. I've had a look at the free agency list. This is where I think, depending if we are working with a conservative budget, this is where we can be really savvy. Looking at free agents, looking at maybe relegation release clauses, because that Lavia at Southampton, I think, is a quality player. And if there is an opportunity there and they go down, then you got to be in there.
Yeah, I mean, some really good players are going to find themselves relegated from the Premier League this season, especially
Yeah,
if Leicester go down. So yeah,
Yuri Tielemans is a free transfer. His contract's up. He's 20. I think he turned 26 yesterday. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but as a rotational option, I wouldn't mind him.
yeah, you know, if you're signing a player on a free, then
Yeah.
it's zero risk, really, isn't it?
Yeah, provided you don't give them a silly contract.
Yeah,
So provided the wages are reasonable, even if it doesn't work out, you can use him as a rotational player at 26 for a year or two and sell him on, and you can get 25, 30 million for him.
yeah. I would definitely look at the Bosman market this summer because we're going to be operating under a budget regardless of who the owners are. I mean,
Yeah.
do you see all this talk of that's my worst fear with this takeover. The talk that if Sheikh Jassim takes over, United are going to target Kylian Mbappe, um, Eduardo Camavinga, and all these big fancy names. You're like, this is nonsense. And
Yeah.
even if we do, that's not a good policy because that has not worked
That's
at
not.
PSG.
Yeah, no. And then we've seen it like in the early to mid 2000s at Real Madrid, where they would just sign a superstar every summer, with the Galactico stuff. And you can't do that. Obviously, from a PR marketing point of view, it's great, but football is about what happens on the pitch.
Yeah, I would be concerned that recruitment will be taken out of Ten Hag's hands and he'll just be made to work with what he's
Yeah.
given. Like Todd Bowley at Chelsea, that's a
Yeah,
disastrous policy.
this is why the structure is so important, and that whoever comes in understands what's needed. Um, I don't believe that the manager should have full control over everything because there needs to be some kind of other authority there that can oversee everything. But yeah, you need somebody to work in tandem with. Like even at Ajax, he had Mark Overmars and Edwin van der Sar. It was a group effort.
Yeah, we need to appoint a director of football
Yeah.
who has a relationship with Ten Hag.
Hmm.
Be it Overmars or somebody else, someone who Ten Hag gives the green light for to come
Yeah, I'll
into the
tell you
club.
what, Overmars did a great job over there. It was unfortunate. It was due to some of his other behaviours that he got dismissed from that position. And I think for that reason, in this day and age, I think from a PR point of view, United will probably steer clear. Otherwise, that would have been a no-brainer for me, even with his Arsenal ties, which I would have done my best to get over.
Which is this Yeah, which is the same reason why the number 11 would probably be playing his
Yes,
football elsewhere.
yes, yeah. That's another issue for them to sort out.
Okay, we're up and up there for today. If everyone can please like the video, subscribe to the podcast, and get your comments in down below. And I will see you later then, Brush.
Yes, and hopefully we'll have something to cheer about next time.
Hopefully, hopefully. All right, I'll see you later.
Take care.